It's fair to say that I have sold part of my soul to the Pokemon Company. I have sunk hundreds of hours into playing the games, own enough Pokemon cards to start a bonfire, and have a wide collection of Pokemon-themed items, including a bath mat. I even liked Pokemon Channel, the game that was literally about watching fake television shows. No, seriously, 10-year-old me thought it was a lot of fun. I've continued to play the main series, but my interest in the spin-offs have waned. This changed, however, when I heard that Detective Pikachu was finally heading to the UK shores. A point-and-click detective game based around Pokemon, a combination of two of my favourite gaming genres. How could I resist that? Plus it's getting a movie, so it can't be that bad, right? It's obviously targeted at kids, but how could it be so disappointing that I decided to make a YouTube video about that fact? Well, Detective Pikachu successfully fails in two important aspects: gameplay and story. Detective Pikachu was originally an eShop game exclusively released in Japan during 2016. The 3DS version has been extended to include 6 new chapters, and with this, you'd also expect the gameplay to have been further developed. Sadly, it never manages to escape its eShop origins. Gameplay in Detective Pikachu typically revolves around talking to every single person and Pokemon in a specific location, running through all dialogue options, watching a cutscene, solving a simple puzzle, and then doing the same process all over again. Rinse, repeat. Now I can hear you say, but this is a game for kids. Of course it's going to be easy. Here's the problem. The puzzles lack both escalation and variety. In a typical point-and-click game, you'd expect the difficulty of the puzzles to naturally increase the further you progress. This acknowledges the player's growing mastery of the game mechanics and how they now require more challenging puzzles to keep them entertained. In Cafe Rain, for example, you begin by stealing police reports with the help of a local drunk, but by the end you're solving a series of cryptic riddles, which may require a pen and paper. Detective Pikachu, however, chooses to keep its puzzles at the same base level throughout the entire game, never venturing close to the complex. You will often solve a puzzle only to find yourself raiding for unskippable cutscenes or busy work before you can submit the solution and move on. This cycle is broken with the occasional QuickTime event, which are impossible to fail unless you're doing it on purpose. This problem could have been excused if there was any variety to the puzzles, but like I said, it's just a whole lot of walking and talking with simple puzzles occurring in between, most of which boil down to simply putting a set of information into the correct order, meaning you are fundamentally solving the same puzzle over and over again. The touchscreen is also underutilised, being primarily used for menus when it could have been used for mini-games, like brushing for prints or lock-picking, which would have easily broken up the monotonous flow of the gameplay. Combine these issues with the unskippable cutscenes, even on replays, what's up with that? And playing Detective Pikachu often feels like crawling through a marsh, begging for a moment's rest, but knowing that the tide is starting to come in, so you have to keep slogging forward. Spoilers for those who really care about the plot of Detective Pikachu. So me, I guess. One of the most important elements of a mystery game is the story. That desire to discover the truth behind the dark deeds is what motivates you to keep playing. Now, I wasn't expecting the next murder of Roger Ackroyd from Detective Pikachu. Far from it. This game is coming from the series that has a crime syndicate that wants to expand the amount of landmass in the world, while the other wanted to increase the size of the sea. Neither comprehending the obvious consequences of these goals. I, however, was hoping for an enjoyable crime-solving tale. Detective Pikachu has two main mysteries: what happened to Tim's dad Harry, and the origins and overall purpose of the drug R, which is causing Pokemon to lose control and rampage throughout the city. I would have also investigated why the creators of the drug decided to give it such an ominous name, but that's just me. Let's start with the R mystery. The plotline is set up well, it's introduced properly in the second chapter, and since Harry was investigating it when he disappeared, the fact that it becomes the focus of the plotline doesn't feel unnatural. What this plotline lacks is any sense of surprise and suspense. The reveal of the main villain, who is named Roger, we've got an R theme here, is lacklustre because his character has had no development, giving us no reason to care about his betrayal. Revealing the final villain to be Amelia, the love interest, or Mike Baker, Harry's partner at the detective agency, would have been far more impactful because we've actually spent time with these characters. In fact, Amelia being the villain would have been a great twist. She appears in nearly every location, actively helps with the investigation, and our heroes do just assume she's innocent because she's their friend. Roger's motivation of doing it for the views also suits Amelia far better than it does him. As a junior camera operator, she could have used the drug to ensure that she's always capturing an exciting story, jump-starting her career at the television network. She could have discovered R through either her own investigations or by being the daughter of its creator. Still, at least the R plotline manages to have a proper conclusion. Imagine buying a novel. When you start reading it, everything appears normal. The plot and characters are quickly established and you dive into the story. Yet as you begin to reach the end, you realise something. The instigating plotline, the main character's motivation for going on this journey in the first place, hasn't been mentioned for a while. It kind of feels like the novel has forgotten this plotline exists. This feeling grows as you reach the final pages. You hope there'll be an amazing last-minute reveal, but instead there's nothing. The novel just ends with the main character saying that they haven't solved the first mystery and that maybe they should get on that. It's like someone took the novel off the shelf before you bought it and ripped out an entire chapter. It's frustrating and you're annoyed that you invested so much time into reading this disappointing collection of words. This is exactly how I felt after completing Detective Pikachu. Harry's disappearance, Tim's purpose for travelling to Rhyme City, and other R there, is left completely unresolved. The game literally ends with Tim and Detective Pikachu walking into a bright white light. Harry could be anywhere. Maybe he's seducing Nurse Joy, or has gone undercover in Team Rocket, or maybe, just maybe, he's dead in a ditch. Using my detective powers, however, I have come up with a theory, an electronic user interface theory, one could say. Detective Pikachu is Harry. The Pikachu is the dad. As Harry lay dying after the car crash, his Pikachu agreed with Mewtwo that, in exchange for saving Harry's life by implanting his consciousness in the Pikachu's brain, Mewtwo could make the new Harry Pikachu investigate the R drug. Mewtwo blocked Harry's memories, presumably to prevent him from having a mental breakdown over his whole being a Pikachu situation, but gave him some of the original Pikachu's memories so he could figure out what had happened, because there's a catch. Harry can only be in the Pikachu body for a certain amount of time before it becomes a permanent transformation. His final exchange with Mewtwo is about him choosing to remain as a Pikachu, presumably because his real body is rotting in a ditch. This is why it takes the entire game for Detective Pikachu to finally use Thunderbolt correctly. Harry has to learn how Pokemon moves work. The reason why only Tim can understand him is probably due to Mewtwo as well. And while we're on the subject of Mewtwo, why doesn't Mewtwo just sort this situation out itself? It's Mewtwo, the ultimate badass of the Pokemon universe. Why can't it retrieve its own DNA? I'm pretty sure those scientists in the Cinnabar Mansion met a rather crispy end during its escape. It can clearly handle a situation. Does this game occur during Mewtwo's annual holiday? Detective Pikachu is sadly a textbook example of a game not living up to the promise of its premise. Let's hope that the movie is more successful and is satisfying narrative-wise. The trailer certainly manages to be both exciting and terrifying. I'm talking about you, Mr. Mime. Thanks for watching my video, and feel free to do the subscribing and bell ringing if you liked it, or not if you didn't. See you next time.